Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. Your support means the world. The humiliation that forged an empire, the chilling words echoed in her mind, a relentless hammer blow. You've brought dishonor upon our family. Get out of my house and never return. The mansion gates in Kensington had slammed shut 5 long years ago, not just on her home, but on her identity, her very social existence as Eleanor Beaumont, heiress to one of London's most distinguished families. Now, she moved like a ghost among the city's elite, a phantom serving champagne at the glittering charity gala at the Grand Imperial Hotel, invisible to eyes that once knew her. Her simple black uniform, a stark contrast to the haute couture gowns adorning the guests, was her new skin. She balanced the silver tray with practiced ease, each crystal flute of champagne reflecting the golden glow of the chandeliers. "Excuse me, madam," she murmured, her voice soft, as she approached a bejeweled middle-aged woman. Eleanor offered a professional smile, one she'd perfected to be neither too warm nor too cold. The woman barely glanced at her, taking the glass as if served by a spirit. If only she knew, Eleanor thought, that she's being served by the CEO of the Tioxy Group. The secret weighed on her shoulders like an invisible cloak. By day, she was Eleanor Smith, the waitress working events to support her disabled daughter. By night, she transformed into the brilliant mind behind one of the nation's largest corporate conglomerates, secretly moving billions and making decisions that impacted the national market. Her phone vibrated discreetly in her pocket. A message from her mother. "Lily is asking when you'll be back. She finished physical therapy and wants to show you the drawing she made." Eleanor's heart warmed. Lily, her little 4-year-old warrior, born with spina bifida, but with a spirit stronger than any obstacle. The girl never saw her wheelchair as a limitation. It was Eleanor whose chest tightened every time she noticed people's pitying or uncomfortable glances in the street. "Eleanor!" The sharp voice of her supervisor jolted her back to reality. "Table 12 needs more canapes. And smile more. You look like you're at a funeral." Eleanor nodded, heading towards the kitchen, passing groups of executives discussing mergers, acquisitions, and investments. It was ironic to overhear conversations about deals she herself was involved in. From the other side of the table, of course. Just last week, she'd authorized the purchase of 3 of the companies mentioned. Next Monday, she'd approve an investment that would create 1,000 jobs. But here, at this moment, she was just a waitress carrying canapes. "Did you see who's here today?" whispered Carla, another waitress, as they arranged trays. "Robert Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Holdings, the one who's always on the cover of Forbes." Eleanor felt the world spin. Robert Sterling, the name she'd tried to forget for 5 years, but which remained etched into every fiber of her being. The man with whom she'd spent one night, the only night of freedom in her life, at a party in Cornwall, when she was still the rebellious heiress escaping family obligations. "Where?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Table 22. It's the wedding of the owner of Kensington Construction's daughter. Robert's a groomsman." Eleanor's legs trembled. She knew this wedding. She'd been to the Kensington family home before, when she was still part of high society. Now she was returning as an employee to serve people who were once her equals. She took a deep breath and walked towards table 22, each step echoing like a drum in her ears. And then she saw him. Robert Sterling was exactly as she remembered, perhaps a little more mature, with silver threads at his temples that gave him even greater elegance. His Italian suit perfectly molded his athletic body, and those eyes, hazel, still held the same intensity that had enchanted her 5 years ago. He laughed at something the groomsman next to him had said. that smile that still made her heart race. Eleanor approached the table, holding the champagne tray. Her hands trembled imperceptibly. "Champagne?" she offered, keeping her eyes down. "Thank you." His deep, familiar voice made every nerve ending in her body awaken. He took the glass without looking directly at her. But Eleanor felt their fingers brush for a fraction of a second. It was then. It happened. Robert looked up and saw her. The world stopped. Recognition was instantaneous, like a bolt of lightning piercing her soul. His hazel eyes widened. The glass almost slipped from his hand. Eleanor saw the exact moment the memory of that night in Cornwall returned to him. Her laughing on the balcony overlooking the sea, her hair wild in the wind, her eyes sparkling under the stars. "Eleanor!" The voice came out as a whisper, laden with disbelief. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The knot in her throat prevented her from uttering any sound. For a moment that seemed eternal, they stared at each other, and Eleanor saw in his eyes the same passion from that distant night, now mixed with confusion and something that looked like pain. "Excuse me?" Eleanor murmured, taking a step back. She needed to get out of there. Now. "Wait!" Robert began to rise, but Eleanor had already turned and was walking quickly towards the kitchen, her heart pounding so loud she was sure everyone in the ballroom could hear it. In the kitchen, she leaned against the cold wall, trying to catch her breath. Tears burned her eyes, but she couldn't cry. Not here. Not now. "He doesn't know," she repeated to herself. "He doesn't know about Lily. He doesn't know I tried to find him. He doesn't know I waited for a call that never came." "Eleanor, are you okay?" Carla appeared beside her, concerned. I just need a minute." But she knew a minute wouldn't be enough to process the impact of that reunion. Robert Sterling was there, just a few feet away, completely unaware that he had a daughter. A daughter who carried his hazel eyes and stubborn smile. Her phone vibrated again. Another message from the nanny, this time with a photo. Lily in her pink wheelchair, holding a drawing of two figures holding hands. Her and her mother. "Mommy, I drew us both being happy. I love you to the moon and back." The tears. They finally escaped. Eleanor quickly wiped her face and put her phone away. Lily was her strength, her reason for existing. Everything she had built, the secret empire, the sleepless nights studying, the sacrifices, it was all for her. "I'm going to finish my shift," she murmured to Carla. "My daughter is waiting for me." But when she returned to the ballroom, Robert was no longer at table 22. Eleanor discreetly searched the room and found him alone on the balcony, looking out at the illuminated city below. Even from a distance, she could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she remembered. For a moment, she considered approaching him, telling him about Lily, revealing the truth she had kept for 5 years. But then she remembered the words he had said that night in Cornwall, when she, vulnerable, had suggested they meet again. "Eleanor, you're wonderful, but my life is too complicated for relationships. Let this night be our perfect secret." He had made it clear he wanted nothing more than that night, and Eleanor, too proud to beg for love, had kept the discovery of her pregnancy to herself when she couldn't find him anymore. She finished her shift in silence. She gathered her things and walked towards the exit. At the hotel door, she stopped and looked back one last time. Robert was still on the balcony, a solitary silhouette against the starry London sky. Perhaps it's better this way, she thought. He has his life. I have mine. But deep down, she knew nothing would be the same. The reunion had unearthed feelings she thought she had buried, and now she would have to deal with the storm brewing in her chest. The taxi took her back to her simple apartment in Islington, where Lily awaited her with her radiant smile. When she opened the door and saw her daughter drawing at the kitchen table, surrounded by scattered colored pencils, Eleanor knew she had made the right decision. "Mommy!" Lily cried, extending her arms. "Look what I drew for you, Eleanor." She hugged her daughter tightly, inhaling her sweet scent of children's shampoo and crayons. In that embrace, she found the strength she needed to move forward. "It's beautiful, my love. Tell me about the drawing." "It's us, Mommy. We're happy because we're together. And look, I drew you with a crown because you're my queen." Eleanor's heart broke and rebuilt itself at the same time. Lily didn't know her mother was truly a queen. Queen of a business empire she had built brick by brick, night after night, fueled by the determination to give her daughter a better future. "You're what makes me strong, Lily. You're my brave princess." "Mommy, why are you crying?" Eleanor wiped away tears she hadn't even realized were falling. "They're happy tears, my love. Mommy is fine." But as she helped Lily get ready for bed, her mind couldn't shake the image of Robert on the balcony. In a few hours, she would have to be at the Teoxy Group office, making important decisions, leading meetings. She would have to be strong, ruthless, visionary. But that night, as she rocked Lily to sleep, softly singing a lullaby, Eleanor allowed herself to be just a woman who had reunited with the man who had marked her life forever. And in the silence of the room, listening to her daughter's calm breathing, she whispered into the darkness, "One day, Lily will meet her father. One day, he'll know he has the most incredible daughter in the world. But first, Mommy needs to be ready to fight for both of us." Outside, London breathed in the early morning, its millions of lights blinking like earthly stars. And somewhere in the city, Robert Sterling probably couldn't sleep either, haunted by the vision of the woman he thought he had lost forever. Fate had brought them together again. Now, it remained to be seen if it would be to heal old wounds or open new ones, and if love would be strong enough to overcome the secrets that separated them. The office, on the top floor of the most modern commercial building in Canary Wharf, was silent, except for the soft sound of Eleanor's fingers gliding over the keyboard. Through the armored glass, London stretched out in an infinite carpet of lights, but she didn't see the city. Her mind was still trapped on the Copacabana Palace balcony, in Robert Sterling's eyes. 3 days had passed since the reunion, and Eleanor couldn't fully concentrate. At every Teoxy Group meeting, at every business decision, his image returned, bringing with it a mixture of longing and anger she thought she had overcome. "Ms. Smith?" The voice of Marcus, her personal assistant, and one of the few people who knew her dual identity, brought her back to the present. "The meeting with the directors is scheduled for 9. Eleanor nodded, adjusting her impeccable gray blazer that replaced the waitress uniform. Here, she was Eleanor Smith, CEO of the Teoxy Group. No traditional surname, no family inheritance, just merit, hard work, and intelligence as sharp as a razor. "Marcus, I need you to do some discreet research for me." "Of course, Ms. Smith. About what?" Eleanor hesitated. For 3 days, she had resisted the temptation to investigate Robert's life, but curiosity was stronger than her will. "Robert Sterling, CEO of Sterling Holdings. I want to know about his personal life, family, relationships, everything." Marcus made a note on his tablet. "May I ask why? Are we considering a partnership with Sterling Holdings?" "Just business curiosity." A lie. It was a woman's curiosity, a mother's, of someone who had been abandoned pregnant and never knew why. The day passed in a haze of meetings and decisions. Eleanor approved the construction of a new children's hospital, the third funded by the Teoxy Group, all specializing in children with special needs. Each project was a silent way to honor Lily, to ensure other families didn't go through the difficulties they faced. At 6 in the evening, Marcus knocked on the door with a folder in his hands. "The research you requested, Ms. Smith." Eleanor took a deep breath before opening it. The first page showed a recent photo of Robert at a charity gala, smiling for the cameras. Beside him, a blonde, elegant woman possessively held his arm. Clara Beaumont. Eleanor's blood ran cold. Beaumont, the same surname she carried before being expelled from home. She quickly flipped through the pages, and the truth revealed itself like a slap in the face. Clara Beaumont, Eleanor's half-sister, daughter of her father's second marriage, had married Robert 3 years ago. The article described her as a socialite and businesswoman, but Eleanor knew the truth. Clara had always been envious, manipulative, and now she had achieved exactly what Eleanor had lost. But what shocked her most was the next piece of information. Robert and Clara were parents to twins, Leo and Sophia, aged 4. 4 years. Eleanor quickly did the math. If the children were 4, they were born about a year after Lily, but something didn't add up. In the photo, the twins had familiar features that she recognized, not from Clara, but from herself. With trembling hands, Eleanor picked up her phone and called Dr. Davies, the doctor who had attended her birth. "Eleanor, what a surprise to hear from you. Doctor, I need to ask you something about Lily's birth. I know it's strange after so long, but were there other babies in the hospital that day? Multiple births?" A silence on the other end of the line. "Eleanor, don't you remember? You had triplets." The world spun. Eleanor had to lean on the desk to keep from falling. "What do you mean, triplets? I only have Lily." "My God. Eleanor, you had 3 babies. Lily and 2 more. A boy and a girl. But they were born with severe complications. Their condition was critical, and the doctors didn't believe they would survive. You were very weak. You had lost a lot of blood. When you woke up, we told you that only Lily had survived. But where are the other 2? Did they die?" "No, Eleanor. They were transferred to a neonatal ICU in another hospital. There was a family willing to adopt them if you weren't able to care for 3 premature babies with special needs. When you fainted and were between life and death for 2 days, the documents were signed by your half-sister, who presented herself as your legal guardian." Eleanor let the phone drop. Clara. The venomous snake had stolen her children. "Ms. Smith!" Marcus appeared, running. "Are you all right, Ms. Smith?" Eleanor couldn't speak. Everything made sense now. Why had Robert married Clara? Why had he never tried to have his own children? She had simply taken Eleanor's children and presented them as her own. "Marcus," she managed to whisper, "cancel all my engagements. I need to go home." The journey to her apartment in Islington was the longest of her life. At every traffic light, at every turn, the truth crystallized in her mind. Lily had 2 siblings who were being raised by the woman who had destroyed her life. When she arrived home, Lily was playing on the living room rug with her toys? The caregiver was reading a book on the sofa. "Mommy!" Lily smiled radiantly. "You're home early today." Eleanor knelt beside her daughter, observing every feature of her face. Lily had Robert's hazel eyes, but the shape of her face was her own. If the other 2 were twins, they would probably have similar characteristics. "Lily, my love, have you had dreams about other children?" "What kind of dreams, Mommy?" "Dreams about a boy and a girl your age. Children who look like you." Lily furrowed her brow in concentration. "Sometimes I dream I have a brother and a sister. We play together, and they push me in my wheelchair really fast like a race car. It's fun." Eleanor's heart broke. Even separated, the triplets maintained a connection. Lily missed her siblings. She didn't even know they existed. "Why do you ask, Mommy?" Eleanor hugged the girl tightly. "Just curiosity, Princess. How about we go for a walk tomorrow? To your favorite park." "Really? But tomorrow isn't Saturday. Mommy decided tomorrow would be a special day. That night, after putting Lily to sleep, Eleanor lay awake, planning. She couldn't just burst into Robert and Clara's lives demanding her children back. She needed strategy, proof, a plan that would primarily protect the children. She picked up her laptop and began to investigate. If Clara had forged documents to gain custody of the twins, she had surely left traces. And if Eleanor had learned anything building a business empire from scratch, it was that patience and preparation always trumped impulsiveness. The next morning, as she pushed Lily's wheelchair through Hyde Park, Eleanor kept an eye on every passing family. She unconsciously looked for two children who resembled her daughter. "Mommy, can I play on that accessible playground?" Lily pointed to an area with special equipment for children with disabilities. "Of course, my love." While Lily played, Eleanor sat on a nearby bench and watched other children running and playing. It was then that she saw them. A boy with brown hair chased a girl with delicate features. Both were exactly Lily's age, and when the boy turned in profile, Eleanor felt the air leave her lungs. It was like looking at Lily in a masculine version. The same jawline, the same expressive eyes, the same stubborn smile. Leo. "Sophia, come here." A familiar voice made Eleanor shrink behind a tree. Clara walked towards the children, impeccable in her designer outfit, her blonde hair pulled back in a perfect bun. She knelt to talk to the twins, and Eleanor could clearly see the three together. There was no doubt. Leo and Sophia were her children. "Aunt Clara," Sophia asked in a sweet voice that was almost identical to Lily's, "can I go on the spinning toy?" "Of course, darling, but be careful." "Aunt Clara!" So Clara hadn't completely lied. She really was the children's aunt, the aunt who had stolen her own sister's nieces and nephews. Eleanor watched the children play for a few more minutes, memorizing every gesture and expression. When she finally prepared to leave, Leo stumbled and fell near the accessible playground where Lily was playing. "Ouch," the boy complained, clutching his scraped knee. Lily, who was a few feet away, immediately moved her wheelchair towards him. "Are you okay?" she asked with genuine concern. Leo looked at her, and Eleanor saw the exact moment an inexplicable connection formed between the two children. It was as if they recognized something familiar in each other. "I am. Your chair. It's so cool. Can I see?" "Of course." Lily smiled radiantly. "Want a ride? You can push it slowly." Eleanor watched, fascinated, as Leo carefully pushed Lily's chair around the playground. Sophia joined them, and within minutes, the three were playing as if they were old friends. "Leo! Sophia!" Clara approached, clearly irritated. "What are you doing?" "Playing with our new friend," Sophia replied innocently. "Her name is Lily." Clara looked at Lily, and Eleanor saw a flash of something akin to recognition or fear pass through her eyes. "Come on, children. We have to go." "But we just met," Leo protested. "Can I play a little longer?" "No, we're leaving now." Eleanor watched Clara practically drag the children away, but not before Leo turned and waved to Lily. "Bye, Lily. I hope to see you again." "Bye, Leo. Bye, Sophia." When they were alone, Lily turned to Eleanor, her eyes shining. "Mommy, they're so nice. I felt like I already knew them. Is that strange?" Eleanor kissed her daughter's head, fighting back tears. "It's not strange, my love. Sometimes we meet special people and feel an immediate connection. Do you think I'll see them again?" "I'm sure you will, Lily. I'm sure of it." That night, Eleanor made a decision. She could no longer live in the shadows, serving canapes to people who despised her daughter, while her half-sister raised her other two children. It was time to reclaim her life, her family, her identity. It was time for Eleanor Beaumont, not Smith, to return to the world. And this time, she would return not as an invisible waitress, but as the powerful woman she had become. The empire she had built would be her weapon, and the love for her three children would be her strength. The war was just beginning. 3 weeks after the encounter in the park, Eleanor had meticulously planned her strategy, like a military strategist. Every move would be calculated, every revelation timed to cause maximum impact. She wasn't just seeking revenge, she was seeking justice for her children and an opportunity to rebuild the family that had been stolen from her. The first step occurred on a Thursday morning when Marcus entered her office with a conspiratorial smile. "Ms. Smith, Sterling Holdings is desperate to close a deal with us. They need our investment to expand into Latin America." Eleanor smiled for the first time in weeks. "Schedule a meeting. I want it here, on our territory. And what about your identity? They still don't know the CEO of the Teoxy Group is. Leave it as a surprise Robert Sterling will never forget." Meanwhile, Eleanor had discreetly hired a private investigator to document all of Clara's movements. What she discovered made her nauseous. Her half-sister not only stole her children, but treated them more like social accessories than actual children. Leo and Sophia spent most of their time with nannies, while Clara frequented parties and events, only using them when she needed to appear as a devoted mother in magazines. Worse still, Eleanor discovered that Clara had forged medical documents claiming the twins were her biological children and had bribed hospital officials to destroy records of the actual birth. It was a crime that could result in imprisonment. "Mommy, are you sad?" Lily asked one night as Eleanor helped her with her bath. "Why do you ask, Princess? You've been crying when you think I don't see, and you keep looking at those pictures on your phone." Eleanor had taken some discreet photos of Leo and Sophia during her casual visits to the park. She couldn't stop looking at them, searching for resemblances, imagining what it would be like to have them home. "Mommy's just going through a difficult time at work, that's all. Can I help? Am I super smart?" Eleanor laughed, despite the pain in her chest. "You already helped me, Lily. You're my strength." "Mommy, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course, my love." I dreamed again about those children from the park, Leo and Sophia. In the dream, we lived in the same house, and there was a daddy too. He took us for walks and read us stories before bed. Eleanor's heart shattered. "And what was that daddy like in your dream?" "Tall, with dark hair and kind eyes. He smiled a lot and called me his brave princess." It was Robert. Even without ever having met him, Lily dreamed of her father. On the day of the meeting with Sterling Holdings, Eleanor prepared herself like a warrior preparing for battle. She chose an impeccable black suit, tied her hair in an elegant bun, and wore only pearl earrings. The perfect image of a powerful and unapproachable CEO. "Remember, Marcus, when they arrive, receive them in the smaller meeting room. I'll only enter when you call me." At 2 p.m., Robert Sterling arrived accompanied by 2 directors. Eleanor watched them through the security cameras, her heart pounding at seeing him again. He was tense, clearly nervous about the importance of that contract for his company. Marcus greeted them professionally, offered coffee, and began the initial presentation about the Teoxy Group. Eleanor knew Robert was impressed. Few truly knew the extent of her business empire. "Gentlemen," Marcus said after 20 minutes, "I'd like to introduce our CEO, Ms. Eleanor Smith." Eleanor took a deep breath and entered the room. The silence that followed was deafening. Robert slowly rose, his face pale as paper, his eyes fixed on her ear as if seeing a ghost. "Eleanor," his voice came out as a strangled whisper. "Mr. Sterling?" She extended her hand professionally. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you officially." Robert looked at her outstretched hand, then her face, then the luxurious surroundings. "You're the CEO of the Teoxy Group? Surprised?" Eleanor sat at the head of the table, naturally assuming the position of power. "I imagined so. The last time we met, I was serving champagne at a party." Robert's directors exchanged confused glances, clearly lost in the personal dynamic that had taken over the meeting. "Gentlemen," Eleanor addressed them. "How about Marcus? You show them our innovation center, while Mr. Sterling and I discussed some contract details. When they were alone, the silence weighed between them like an iron curtain. "Eleanor, you?" Robert began, running his hand through his hair, the nervous gesture she remembered so well. "How did you get here? What happened to you?" "What happened to me?" Eleanor repeated, her voice cold as ice. Interesting question coming from someone who disappeared without a trace after our night together. I tried to find you. I went back to Cornwall 3 times. I asked everyone, but no one knew your real name or where to find you. My real name? Robert, my name is Eleanor Beaumont, daughter of Edward Beaumont, from the traditional Beaumont family of London. You really didn't know? Robert's face grew even paler. Beaumont? But Clara never mentioned she had a sister named Eleanor, half-sister, and I'm sure she never mentioned it. Eleanor stood up and walked to the window, her back rigid. After all, it would be very embarrassing to explain how she got his children. My children? Eleanor, what are you talking about? Eleanor turned, her eyes shining with contained tears. Leo and Sophia are not Clara's children, Robert. They're mine. Ours. The world seemed to stop. Robert leaned on the table, his legs weak. What are you saying? I'm saying that 5 years ago, 3 months after that night in Cornwall, I discovered I was pregnant. With triplets. Eleanor opened her desk drawer and pulled out a folder. Lily, Leo, and Sophia. My 3 children. Our 3 children. Robert took the folder with trembling hands. Inside were birth certificates, hospital photos, medical exams, all the documentary evidence Editor Eleanor had gathered. Triplets! His voice was hoarse. But Clara said Leo and Sophia were hers. We got married because she was pregnant. Clara was never pregnant, Robert. She stole my children when I almost died in childbirth. She forged documents, bribed hospital officials, and used you to legitimize the theft. Robert fell into a chair, breathing heavily. No, that can't be true. The 3rd child is Lily, my daughter, our daughter. Or daughter, who was born with spina bifida and was the only one who stayed with me. The child you saw in the park 3 weeks ago. In the park? Robert looked up, confused. You were there with Clara and the children. Lily played with Leo and Sophia. They recognized each other immediately. The connection between siblings is stronger than any lie. Robert buried his face in his hands. My God, Eleanor, if that's true, what have I done? How could I have been so blind? You were manipulated by a person who has known the art of lying since childhood. Eleanor sat down again, her voice softer now. Clara was always envious of me. When she found out about my illness and saw an opportunity to have the life she always wanted, she seized it. But why didn't you look for me? Why didn't you tell me about the illness? The tears finally escaped. I tried, Robert. I looked for you for months. But when I finally got your contact through a mutual friend, you were already engaged to Clara. The photos were in all the newspapers, both announcing your engagement and your wedding. Eleanor, I was devastated, sick, and alone. My family kicked me out of the house when they found out about the illness. I had no one. Her voice broke. I thought you had chosen her, that our night really meant nothing to you. Robert stood up and tried to approach, but Eleanor raised her hand, stopping him. For 5 years, I raised Lily alone. I worked as a waitress during the day and built this empire during the nights, all to give her the life she deserved. Meanwhile, you raised my other 2 children, believing they were someone else's. Eleanor, I swear I didn't know. If I had known, what would you have done? Would you have let me raise all 3 alone while you lived your perfect life with Clara? No! Robert's voice was louder than he intended. I would have fought for you, for us. Eleanor, that night in Cornwall was the most real night of my life. I fell in love with you that night, but not enough to truly seek me out. I was young, stupid, and too focused on the company. When Clara appeared, pregnant, saying the child was mine. Children. There were 2. When she said the children were mine, I thought it was my responsibility to do the right thing, marry her, start a family. Eleanor laughed bitterly. The right thing would have been to be honest with me. You're right, and I've spent the last 5 years paying for it. Robert approached the window, looking out at the city below. My marriage to Clara is a hell, Eleanor. She's cold, manipulative, and I always felt something was wrong. The children always seemed disconnected from her. And from me, too. Because you're not a real family. You're strangers living in the same house, and… Lily! How is she? Does she… Robert hesitated. Does she know about me? She dreams of you. Eleanor's voice softened. She dreams of a father who calls her a brave princess, who reads stories to her and takes her for walks. Even though she's never met you, she knows you exist. Tears streamed down Robert's face. I want to meet her. I want to meet my daughter, and Leo and Sophia. They're your children too, Robert. Our children. How do we do this? How do we undo 5 years of lies? Eleanor opened another drawer and pulled out a sealed envelope. Evidence of all the crimes Clara committed. Forgery of documents, bribery, child abduction. Enough to send her to prison for decades. Robert took the envelope, the weight of the truth crushing in his hands. But I don't want to destroy the children's lives, Eleanor continued. They're not to blame for the adults' lies. We need to do it carefully, with love. What do you propose? First, you need to divorce Clara. Then, we prove that Leo and Sophia are my biological children. DNA tests if necessary. Finally, we rebuild our family the right way. And us? Robert asked softly. Eleanor, I never stopped thinking about you. These 5 years with Clara were a penance for my mistakes. Eleanor looked at him for a long moment. We'll go slowly. First the children. Then we'll see what we missed between us after so much time and so much pain. At that moment, Robert's phone rang. It was Clara. Hello? Robert, I need you to come home now. Something terrible has happened. What is it? Someone's investigating our family. We've had detectives asking questions about the children's birth. I think someone found out. Eleanor and Robert exchanged glances. The war had officially begun. I'm on my way, Robert said, and hung up. He looked at Eleanor. She knows we found out, so we'd better act fast. Eleanor stood up, all previous vulnerability replaced by the determination of a CEO accustomed to winning battles. Marcus! Her assistant appeared immediately. Call our legal department. I want a court order for DNA tests for all 3 children. And contact the press. It's time to tell the true story. Eleanor, wait! Robert grabbed her arm. The children, they need to know the truth before it becomes a media circus. Eleanor stopped. She took a deep breath. He was right. How about dinner tonight? You, me, Lily, Leo, and Sophia. A family reunion. Finally. Robert nodded, determination shining in his eyes. It's time for the children to know the truth, and it's time to start healing our family. 3 hours later, Eleanor was more nervous than she had ever been, not even during the most important presentations to investors. She had prepared a simple dinner in her Islington apartment, a cozy and safe environment for the most important meeting of their lives. Lily was excited, but didn't fully understand what was happening. Mommy, why are we having a special dinner? Because we're going to have very special visitors, Princess. Do you remember the children you met in the park, Leo and Sophia? Her eyes lit up. Are they coming here? Really? Yes. And their daddy too? Do they have a daddy? Lily tilted her head. Why don't I have one? Eleanor knelt in front of her daughter, holding her hands. Lily, you do have a daddy. You just haven't met him yet. Is my daddy coming to dinner too? Yes, my love. Your daddy is coming to dinner too. The doorbell rang at 7 o'clock. Eleanor took a deep breath and went to open the door. Robert was there with Leo and Sophia, all clearly nervous. The children hid behind his legs, shy in a strange environment. Hello? Robert said softly. Hello. Come in, please. Leo was the first to recognize Lily, who was in her wheelchair at the entrance to the living room. "Lily!" He ran to her, all shyness. Forgotten. "You live here?" "Yes. Do you want to see my room? I have lots of books and games." Sophia joined the two, and within minutes they were chatting like old friends. The connection was undeniable, magnetic, as if the lost pieces of a puzzle had finally found each other. Eleanor and Robert watched them from the kitchen, both too emotional to speak. "They complete each other," Robert murmured. "Look how Lily smiles when she's with them. And Leo and Sophia, I've never seen them so at ease. It's like they always knew they were part of something bigger." During dinner, the children chatted animatedly. Leo talked about school, Sophia showed a drawing she had made, and Lily talked about her favorite books. It was a natural harmony, a family recognizing each other. It was Sophia who asked the question that changed everything. "Aunt Eleanor, why do you look so much like me?" Leo said, "It's like we're siblings." Eleanor and Robert exchanged glances. It was time. "Sophia, Leo, Lily," Eleanor began softly. "Do you want to hear a very special story?" The three children listened curiously. Once upon a time, there were 3 babies who were born together, on the same day, from the same mommy. They were triplets, very special siblings, who shared the same warm little corner in mommy's tummy. "Like us?" Leo asked, pointing to himself and Sophia. "Exactly like you. But when they were born, something very sad happened. The babies got sick and needed special care. Mommy also became very sick, and a bad person took advantage of that to separate the siblings." Lily frowned. "Why would someone do that?" "Sometimes people do wrong things because they want things that aren't theirs," Robert explained, his voice gentle but firm. "One of the babies stayed with the true mommy, and the other 2 were taken by that bad person who lied, saying they were her children." Sophia and Leo exchanged glances, processing the information. "Aunt Eleanor?" Sophia said slowly. "Are you the mommy in the story?" Eleanor nodded, tears in her eyes. "I am, my love. I'm the mommy of the 3 babies." Then Leo connected the dots. "Are we siblings? Is Lily our sister?" "Yes, you are siblings, triplets." The silence that followed was broken by Lily's delightful laughter. "I knew it. I knew you were special. That's why I dreamed about you." Sophia got up from her chair and ran to Eleanor, climbing into her lap. "So, you're our real mommy?" "Yes, my princess. I'm the mommy of all 3 of you." Leo looked at Robert, confused. "And you, Daddy? Did you know?" Robert knelt in front of the boy, his hands trembling. "No, Leo. Daddy didn't know. Daddy was also deceived. But now that we know the truth, we're all going to be together as a real family." "Forever?" Sophia asked from the safety of Eleanor's lap. "Forever," Eleanor confirmed, kissing the girl's head. Lily moved her wheelchair closer to everyone. "Does this mean I won't dream about you anymore because you'll be here with me?" Leo and Sophia got down to sit beside Lily's chair. The 3 hugged in a union that seemed to heal years of separation. "We promise we'll never be separated again," Leo said, with the seriousness of a child making a sacred vow. "We promise," Sophia echoed. "We promise," Lily completed. Robert and Eleanor exchanged glances over the children's heads, both openly weeping. It was the purest and truest moment they had ever experienced. "And Aunt Clara?" Leo asked suddenly. "She's going to be sad." Eleanor and Robert exchanged another look. How to explain the complexity of the situation to the children? "Aunt Clara did something very wrong," Robert explained carefully. "She lied and separated a family. Now, she needs to face the consequences of her choices." "But you 2 aren't going to fight because of us, are you?" Sophia asked worriedly. "Never," Eleanor said firmly. "You are the most important thing in the world to us. Everything we do is to protect you and to keep our family together." The rest of the night passed in a blur of conversations, laughter, and discoveries. The children stayed up later than usual, reluctant to separate again. When it was finally time for Leo and Sophia to leave, it was with the promise that they would meet the next day. "Daddy!" Lily called to Robert as he was saying goodbye. It was the first time she had called him that, and the impact was like a punch to his chest. "Yes, princess. Are you going to take good care of Leo and Sophia tonight? They're little like me." Robert knelt to be at her height, his kind hands touching her face. "I'm going to take very good care of them, and tomorrow, Daddy will come back to take care of all three of you together. Promise?" "Promise." After Robert left with Leo and Sophia, Eleanor helped Lily get ready for bed. The girl was euphoric, talking non-stop about her siblings and finally having a daddy. "Mommy, are we a complete family now?" "We're on our way, my love. We still have some things to resolve. But yes, we are a complete family." "And will you and Daddy get married?" Eleanor hesitated. "Daddy and I still need to talk a lot. A lot has happened, and we need to be sure we're doing everything right for all three of you. But you like each other, don't you? I can tell by the way you look at each other." At her 4 years old, Lily had grasped something that the adults themselves were still processing. "Yes, my love. Mommy and Daddy like each other. Then it'll be fine. When people like each other and want to take care of their children together, it's always fine." Lily's innocent wisdom brought peace to Eleanor's turbulent heart. Perhaps it really was simpler than she thought. The next morning, Eleanor woke to her phone ringing insistently. It was Marcus. Agitated. "Ms. Smith, we need to talk urgently. Clara Beaumont is at reception. She wants to speak with you." Eleanor felt her blood run cold. "She knows where I work?" "Apparently, yes. And she's not alone. She brought lawyers." "Send them up. It's time to settle all scores." Eleanor quickly dressed in her corporate armor. Black suit, hair pulled back, impeccable posture. When Clara entered her office, it was like looking at a distorted mirror of everything Eleanor could have been if she had chosen manipulation instead of honesty. "Hello, sister," Clara said with a venomous voice. Or should I say, Ms. Smith? "Clara, what an unpleasant surprise. I imagined so. You've always been dramatic, Eleanor. Building all this theater just to get revenge on me." "Theater? You stole my children. I saved those children. You were dying, alone, unable to raise 3 babies. I gave them a life of luxury, a stable family. You forged documents and lied to everyone, even Robert." Clara laughed, a cold, cutting sound. "Robert married me because he wanted to. He never truly looked for you, Eleanor. If he wanted to, he would have found you." The words were like stabs, but Eleanor didn't let herself be shaken. "Robert was manipulated by you, just like everyone else. And now, do you think you'll have your happily ever after family? That you're going to take the children from me and live a fairy tale? I'm not taking the children from anyone. They already know the truth." Clara's face paled. "You told them?" "Robert and I told them together. Last night, Leo, Sophia, and Lily know they are siblings. You had no right. They're too young to understand. They understood perfectly, and were happy to discover they are a family, a real one." Clara stood up abruptly, furious. "This isn't going to stand. I'm going to fight for them. I'm the only mother they've known for 4 years, and you can visit them whenever you want, if they want to see you. But the days of lies are over, Clara. You have no proof of anything." Eleanor opened her bag and placed a folder on the table. Forged documents, bribes, altered medical records, testimonies from hospital officials. I have enough evidence to send you to prison for decades. Clara flipped through the documents, her face growing paler with each page. "What do you want?" she asked, finally defeated. "I want you to sign over custody of Leo and Sophia to me. I want you to divorce Robert without causing problems. And I want you to leave our family in peace. And if I don't accept, then I'm going to turn all of this over to the police and the press. Imagine the headlines. Socialite steals babies from her own sister. Your reputation will be destroyed. You'll be arrested, and you'll still lose the children." Clara fell silent for long minutes, weighing her options. "I have one condition. she finally said. What is it? I want financial compensation. I took care of those children for 4 years. I deserve something in return. Eleanor laughed, incredulous. You want to be paid for stealing my children? I raised them. I gave them everything they needed. Fine. How much do you want? 50 million. Done. Eleanor didn't hesitate for a second. Marcus, prepare the documents. Clara blinked, surprised by the ease of the answer. You're going to pay? Clara, 50 million from me is what 50 pounds is for you. If that's what it takes to get you out of our lives forever, it's cheap. The humiliation on Clara's face was evident. She had tried to be greedy, but only revealed how small she was compared to the empire Eleanor had built. 2 hours later, all the documents were signed. Clara left the office 50 million richer, but she had lost everything that truly mattered: family, reputation, and the only chance to be truly happy. The following week, the story exploded in the media. Eleanor had carefully prepared the narrative. The brave mother who built an empire while raising a special needs daughter alone, only to discover years later that her other 2 children had been stolen. The press fell in love with the story of overcoming, determination, and maternal love. Robert quickly divorced Clara and moved with Leo and Sophia to an apartment near Eleanor's. They decided to take things slowly, allowing the children to adapt to the changes before making decisions about their romantic future. But the children had other plans. Mommy, Daddy, Lily said one Sunday afternoon, as the 5 of them had a picnic in the park. Leo, Sophia, and I talked. About what, Princess? Robert asked. About you two. You like each other, don't you? Eleanor and Robert exchanged glances, smiling. We do? Yes, Eleanor admitted. Then why don't you get married soon? Sophia asked with all the pragmatism of a 4-year-old. Because marriage is a serious thing, my princess. Daddy and Mommy want to be sure they're doing the right thing. But you already know you want to be together forever, Leo argued. And we want to be a real family, living in the same house. We even made a plan, Lily said excitedly, pulling a folded paper from her wheelchair bag. Look! It was a drawing made by the 3 children. A big house with 5 windows, 5 figures holding hands in front, and a big red heart in the sky. See? Sophia explained, pointing to each figure. Mommy, Daddy, me, Leo, and Lily. And this heart means we love each other. Eleanor felt tears burn in her eyes. Robert took her hand, intertwining their fingers. And there's more, Leo continued. The 3 of us decided we want to give you something very special. The children exchanged knowing glances before Lily pulled another paper from her bag. There are birth certificates, she said solemnly. We want you to stay together as a real family. Eleanor looked at the documents she had fought so hard to recover. The names were correct now. Eleanor Smith as mother, Robert Sterling as father, and the 3 children officially united as siblings. Children, Robert began. His voice choked. Daddy! Sophia interrupted him, climbing into his lap. Mommy deserves to be happy. She took care of Lily alone for so long. She worked so hard. She deserves to have a complete family. And you deserve it too, Daddy, Leo added. You were sad for a long time with Aunt Clara. Now you really smile. Eleanor looked at Robert, seeing in his eyes the same love that overflowed in her chest. You're right, Robert said softly. Eleanor, I love you. I've always loved you. Since that first night in Cornwall. I spent 5 years trying to forget you, but it was impossible. You were etched in my soul. Robert, let me finish. He stood up, still holding Sophia in his lap, and extended his free hand to Eleanor. I made many mistakes. I should have looked for you harder. I should have distrusted Clara. I should have fought for you from the beginning. But now I know who you really are. An incredible woman who transformed pain into strength, who built an empire while raising our daughter alone, who never gave up on us. Eleanor stood up with Lily in her lap, Leo beside her. Eleanor Smith, will you marry me? Will you accept that we become a complete family?" The children held their breath, waiting for the answer. Eleanor looked around. At Robert, with his eyes full of love and regret. At Leo, with his hopeful smile. At Sophia, clinging to her father with expectation. At Lily, radiant in her arms. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I accept." The cry of joy from the three children echoed through the park. Other families turned to look, smiling at the scene of pure happiness. "But there's one condition," Eleanor said, making everyone stop celebrating. "What is it?" Robert asked worriedly. Eleanor smiled, that smile that had enchanted Robert years ago in Cornwall. "I want the three of you to be our wedding godparents." The celebration began again, even more intensely. 6 months later, St. Paul's Cathedral was decorated with white and gold flowers. Eleanor walked down the central aisle, radiant in a simple but elegant wedding dress, pushing Lily's wheelchair, who wore a pink dress and held a small bouquet. Behind them, Leo and Sophia walked solemnly in their page boy and bridesmaid outfits, carrying the rings on small velvet cushions. At the altar, Robert waited with a smile that hadn't left his face for months. He had become a dedicated father, spending every afternoon with the children, learning about Lily's treatments, helping Leo with homework, listening to Sophia's imaginative stories. "Who gives this woman in marriage?" the priest asked. "We do!" the three children shouted in unison, making the entire congregation laugh. During the ceremony, Eleanor and Robert could barely take their eyes off each other. 5 years of separation, pain, and misunderstandings had been healed by love and the determination to rebuild their family. "Eleanor," Robert said during his vows, "you are the strongest woman I know. You transformed tragedy into triumph, pain into power, and taught me that true love overcomes any obstacle. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father our children need." "Robert," Eleanor replied, "you are the love of my life. Our story didn't start like a fairy tale, but it ends like one. I promise that together we will give our children all the love we lost during these years apart." "When," the priest said, "you may kiss the bride." The children applauded louder than any adult present. At the reception, held in the ballroom of the Tioxie group itself, Eleanor danced the first song with Robert. Then, with each of her children. The dance floor had been adapted so that Lily could participate fully, her wheelchair decorated with ribbons and flowers. "Mommy," Lily said during the dance with Eleanor, "are we really a complete family now?" "Yes, my princess. Now we are complete and will never be separated again. Never again." During dinner, Marcus approached Eleanor with an enigmatic smile. "Ms. Smith, sorry, Mrs. Sterling. I have a surprise." He handed her an official envelope. Eleanor opened it, and her eyes widened. "What is it?" Robert asked. "Oh, the Nobel Foundation for Social Enterprises. They want to honor me as Entrepreneur of the Year for all the Tioxie Group's social projects." "That's incredible." Robert kissed her. "You deserve all the recognition in the world." "We deserve it," Eleanor corrected. "This family, this new life we built together." Later, when the children were tired and the party was coming to an end, the new family gathered on the balcony of the ballroom, looking out at illuminated London. "Daddy and Mommy," Sophia said, sleepy in Robert's lap. "Are you going to have more babies?" Eleanor and Robert exchanged smiles. "Aren't the three of you enough?" Eleanor joked. "We're a lot," Leo agreed. "But if you want more babies, we'll help take care of them." "I can teach the baby to ride in my chair," Lily offered generously. Robert kissed each child's head. "You three are our miracle. You are all we need to be happy." A year later, Eleanor was in her office, now renovated to accommodate the children's toys, when they sometimes visited after school when she received an unexpected call. "Eleanor, it's Dr. Davies." "Doctor, what a surprise." "Eleanor, I need to tell you something. Do you remember when we talked about the triplets' birth? Of course. Well, I was organizing old files, and I found something. A document Clara made me sign at the time. She knew you had the possibility of having more children in the future, and there's a clause in the adoption document I never noticed. Eleanor felt her heart race. What kind of clause? If you ever had more biological children, she would have the right to, well, to request custody of them too. What? Eleanor stood up abruptly. How so? It was a way to ensure she always had control over your reproductive life. But Eleanor, the document is null now. With all the evidence of fraud you gathered, any court would consider this an extortion crime. Eleanor breathed a sigh of relief, but the conversation had planted a seed in her mind. That night, during family dinner, she watched Robert helping Leo with his math homework, while Sophia drew and Lily read a book. Robert, she said when the children went to their rooms, have you ever thought about having more children? He looked at her, surprised. Do you want to have more children? I think so. We lost so much time apart. It would be beautiful to raise a baby together from the beginning. Robert approached and kissed her softly. Eleanor, I would do anything to make you happy. If you want more children, then let's try. And the children, what do you think they'll think? I think they'll be euphoric at the idea of having a brother or sister. They were right. When they told Leo, Sophia, and Lily about the possibility of a new baby, the reaction was pure joy. Really? Lily cried. We're going to have a baby? God willing, Eleanor said carefully. I'm going to teach the baby to play, Leo declared. And I'm going to draw pretty things for him, Sophia added. And I'm going to read stories, Lily concluded. I'm going to be the best big sister in the world. 6 months later, Eleanor was sitting in the waiting room of the doctor's office, Robert holding her hand, the 3 children swinging their legs on the chairs. Sterling family? The nurse called. It's time, Eleanor murmured. Dr. Evans, the obstetrician, smiled as she saw them all enter together. So, are we going to see this baby? Eleanor lay on the examination table, Robert beside her, the children in special chairs so they could see the monitor. The gel was applied, the transducer positioned, and then, my goodness, Dr. Evans murmured. What is it? Eleanor asked. Are you sure you want to know? Doctor, please tell us. He turned the monitor so everyone could see. Congratulations, you're having twins. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds before the explosion of joy. Twins! The children shouted in unison. 2 more siblings! Lily clapped. Now we're going to be 7. Leo quickly did the math. A giant family, Sophia exclaimed, and Eleanor and Robert exchanged glances, tears of happiness streaming down their faces. Looks like our family wasn't complete yet, Robert whispered. Now it is, Eleanor replied. Now it really is complete. 9 months later, Eleanor gave birth to 2 healthy babies, George and Grace. The birth was calm, surrounded by love and care, very different from the traumatic experience 5 years ago. Leo, Sophia, and Lily became the most dedicated siblings imaginable. They helped with bottles, sang lullabies, and protected the babies like little guardians. Mommy, Lily said one night as she helped rock George and Grace. Now our family is really complete. Eleanor looked around the nursery. Robert was changing George. Leo was organizing the baby's clothes. Sophia was drawing in her notebook, and Lily gently rocked her sister. Yes, my love. Now we are complete, and will never be separated again? Never again, we promise! 2 years later, the Sterling family was gathered on the balcony of their new home. A mansion in Hampstead that Eleanor had bought and renovated to comfortably accommodate the 7 family members. The Tioxy Group continued to grow, now with Robert as vice president, while Eleanor masterfully balanced the roles of CEO and mother of 5 children. Leo, now 7, was teaching 2-year-old George to kick a ball. Sophia drew with Grace in her lap, and Lily read a story to everyone. "Robert," Eleanor said, watching the scene. "Do you regret anything?" He pulled her closer, kissing her hair. "I regret losing Lily's first years. I regret not fighting harder for you from the beginning, but I don't regret the path that brought us here, because it made us value what we have even more. Sometimes I think we needed to go through all that to be prepared for this happiness." "Mommy, Daddy!" Lily called. "Come listen to the story I made up." "What's it about, Princess?" Robert asked. Approaching. "It's about a family that got lost and found each other again, and they lived happily ever after." Eleanor smiled, picking up Grace, while Robert held George. Leo and Sophia snuggled at their feet, and Lily began to tell her story. Once upon a time, there was a very brave mommy who built a castle while raising her special little princess. And there was a daddy who was lost until he found his real family. And when they united, with all their children, they discovered that love is the most powerful magic that exists. "And the ending?" Sophia asked, even though she already knew it. "And they lived happily ever after," Lily concluded with a radiant smile, "just like us." Eleanor looked at Robert, then at each of her 5 children, and finally at the city of London, stretching out to the horizon. From invisible waitress to powerful CEO, from single mother to matriarch of a large and happy family, her journey had been long and painful. But it had been worth every tear, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. Because in the end, she had not only conquered a business empire, she had conquered something much more valuable. A family united by true love. Children who would grow up knowing they were loved unconditionally. And a husband who had seen her not only as the woman he loved, but as the warrior who had fought for all of them. "I love you," Robert whispered in her ear. "I love you too," she replied. "I love all of you." And as the sun set over London, painting the sky golden, the Sterling family remained there, complete and united, knowing they had finally found their happy ending. What did you think of Eleanor and Robert's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories.